here's that trailer again, further back here. I don't know what kind of road I'm on, what kind of path this is, but I'm really thinking about exploring the trailer. You know, what are the odds that it would be private property so close to everything here? I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I don't want to stumble upon a meth lab or anything. Still got trash cans and other utilities over there. I'm just very unwilling to go over that way. It's like one of those things, it's like when you see an abandoned trailer, you think a couple of things, a few things go through your mind. And one of them is, wow, abandoned trailer. That means somebody is there. At one point, a human being. Another thing that might go through your mind is, wow, an abandoned trailer. Maybe it's not abandoned. Maybe somebody's making meth in there, or doing drugs, or hiding murder weapons, or something like that. Maybe they've got a victim chained up, and you'll be next if you hang around. The other thing you think is, wow, an abandoned shelter. A trailer that hasn't been used for a long time. You know what that is? That's a good cover. If you were lost in the woods, if you didn't have a home, and you had a roof over your head to keep you out of the rain. And that is a connection to, hey, shelter is shelter, and animals need shelter. A raccoon, a possum, a bear is just as likely to go in that trailer and live there, to stay out of the elements. And by that same principle, Bigfoot is likely to live in something like that as well. If it's remote enough, if it feels safe enough and it wants to take the risk of adopting a past human shelter as its current home. Now, my personal belief is that's a little bit too close for Bigfoot to just nestle down and hang out. And it might come to the state park for scavenge ability. It might come out here to go after fish, which might be better here than in other parks. It might hang out and raid through garbage when there's not a lot of visitors. And maybe it's just curious about people, so maybe it wants to observe. I don't know why a Bigfoot would be in this park, why a Bigfoot would be around here. But what I do know is it's an abandoned trailer, and it's creeping me out. And even if Bigfoot's hiding inside of it, I don't want to go over there and look at it. So I'm going to turn around. There's too much risk. I'm just going to look along the waterway, and if I don't find tracks, that's fine. But what I did find out here was there are a lot of dead trees to push over. There are a lot of dead trees that could have fallen over. Really, in its essence, I have learned nothing about this area in terms of whether or not last night was Bigfoot related or not. So I'm still skeptical about what I observed, and even though it was unusual, I'm not going to jump to conclusions. But I will say that there is a lot more elevation change. There are hills, and there's uneven terrain back here. And at night, and at the edge of the forest, I couldn't tell that. So after breaching the forest, I know that there are lots of ridges, there are lots of high points for observation. There are lots of, like I said, dead trees that could be falling over on their own or pushed over. And there's a little bit of animal activity that indicates some type of source of meat for an omnivorous or carnivorous animal. So I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. This is excellent habitat, and I'm more convinced of that now that I've come this far into it. But I'm on a road that's gated off by the Park Service, and I'm probably trespassing at some point. Now, this is interesting. This is interesting right here. Look at this. There is a huge pile of something here. Very dark in matter. but there's a lot of hair from some type of animal. And there are seeds in here, and if I'm not mistaken, those might be from persimmons, maybe? Not sure. I'm not going to take any samples of this because I'm not a big fan of carrying around poop in a bag, and feces is not really enough to prove anything, and not that I can afford that anyway, to have a DNA test. And more than likely, with all this hair in here, it's a good indicator that it's contaminated. There's lots of decomposers and things in this at this point. It's very old. But the size of it, I mean, like this stained pile is like about as big around as my foot. So I can tell that at one point, whether this is scat or vomit, which by looking at the process and looking at the current state of these seeds and the hair, which is so densely packed, I want to say this is feces. But the general circle of space, the diameter of the stained spot on the ground, is definitely larger than most coyote, larger than most fecal deposits by known animals. So I will say that that's weird. That's all I will say about that. But there's too many seeds in there. It's not just a carcass. There's too many seeds. They're too far along. That looks like a fecal deposit. And then I'm also going to just say that, whatever legitimate stool, it looks like beetles and flies and everything had already beat me to it. So I have no idea what the feces would be shaped like. It was a pile of digested hair and seeds that decomposers couldn't do anything with. But when I look at that, and I look at the general area that it occupied, based off of the darkness and the stains on the ground, I can tell you that was a large deposit, and I would say that it's human size, if not bigger. I don't know if they have bears in Caddo Lake. I don't know what they have, but even if it were a bear, bears generally don't have a lot of hair in their feces. They're grazers, and they eat a lot of seeds and berries and grasses. So the majority of the time that I've seen bear scat, there has not been a whole bunch of hair in there. You'd see a lot of hair like that in coyote feces, but like I said, that's very large for a coyote. And then furthermore, I don't know if it does belong to a panther. Panthers are strictly carnivore, so to find those seeds in there is also unusual. So I can't attribute that to bear, cougar, or coyote. The best example I can give is that it was further dispersed, very widely dispersed from a large coyote deposit, maybe. And then maybe it was dispersed by, maybe it came from a bear who had recently had a very meat-rich diet. I can't tell you about that, though. At a glance, I look at that and I see a varied diet of a consistent omnivore with a sizable girth to leave a big plop on the ground, and then decomposers dispersed it and spread it out and just made it, every which way. So I can't tell you. I'm not professional enough by looking at old feces and be able to tell you what kind of animal left it. But I know that this thing was eating a lot of seeds, or eating a lot of, I guess, persimmons, perhaps. I'm pretty sure that's what those seeds were in there. I could be wrong, but it's eating a lot of fruits with seeds or whatnot. And in addition to that, it's also eating meat because of the presence of many hairs. I'm getting out here. I'm right back at the parking lot. I'm going to put the camera up so I can get a hold of the dog, and then we're going to turn back around and look at the waterway and look along the bank for any type of indicators that something waded through, because we did hear a lot of splashing, and that's what I keep forgetting. Upland, we heard the tree fall, and we heard knocks very close to the water, and more upland as well. So we're gonna take a good look at the waterway because we haven't been down that way yet. Okay, so we're going through here. Okay, honestly, I don't want to go through there. That's a lot of ground hazard and stuff like that. Something's making a little bit of noise over there. Made it. Hey, easy. What are you doing? It's about as far as I can get in. You know, I'm getting calls telling me I need to head out, meet up with people today. All I can say is this has been unusual. Between the tree and the knocks, and definitely have to play back that audio, play back the video even, for better understanding of what's out here. But I'm very convinced that Caddo Lake is worth another investigation in the future. I saw a tree on the ridge that may be fresh, may not be. I'm going to walk up there and I'm going to look at it. And I'm going to head out of here. On to the next location. Okay, so I wasn't really able to identify any recently fallen trees. All the ones that I saw had indications that they had been fallen down for quite some time. There were maybe a few that potentially could have fallen recently, but I don't put too much stock in them just because I can't really tell one way or another. Yeah, I did find some unusual scat that I couldn't identify because of its age and dispersion, and you know, I honestly can't say if that's the type of thing we're looking for. But at its base, I know that I heard tree knocks, and in conjunction with the tree knocks in the same area, after I had walked into the forest boundary and then later backtracked, a tree fell over, which could be some type of display, some type of intimidator, some type of claim to territory or something. I don't know. But then again, like I said, lots of dead trees, lots of them could have fallen. You know, there could have been some crazy eccentric Bigfoot hunter living in that rundown trailer, spending the night and searching for evidence. Tree knocking, where on the other end of the campground, some other crazy eccentric Bigfoot hunter in the middle of a state park surrounded by other campers thought he was talking to a Bigfoot. Somehow, me, eccentric Bigfoot hunter number 3, got involved. But that doesn't make sense to me, because that doesn't look like a recent habitation in that trailer, first of all. Second of all, there was a point where I could swear that the knocking sound was coming from the opposite end of the bayou, on the opposite bank, that isn't developed as a campground. Third of all, why would a Bigfoot hunter feel obligated to make a territorial display and push over a tree? Also, you'd think that he'd be aware that he was at the edge of the state park boundary and could be creating some confusion. So, I'll be honest, I don't know which way to take this. I don't know how to take this. That's the best explanation I can give to dismiss the idea of Bigfoot. But I think it's very likely, being at the end of a state park habitated area and being at the edge of a dense wilderness, on the edge of a rich, ecologically diverse waterway, I mean, I can't make one claim or another, because I didn't see anything that will convince me absolutely. But to have a large splashing, knocks, and the tree fall over all in the same immediate area within the same time frame seems a bit unusual. Fortunately, I gotta move on. I gotta go back to Burleson. I gotta gather up my trail cameras and hang out with my friends some more. And then I've got to wrap things up and do one more visit to Fouke and explore a little bit of the Sulphur River. So I'm going to have to say goodbye to Caddo Lake, but I hope that I find myself at the Bigfoot conference within the years to come, and that that would include future visits to this mysterious place. Alright, so I'm with my friend Kyle. And we're going to ride together to meet up with the Orrs again. But he lives in Big Sandy, Texas. And there's some type of base that his dad is part of. I don't understand what this is, but I'm parking my truck for a couple of days in an airplane hangar, which is kind of awesome. So, yeah, there's that. So leaving Caddo and Jefferson behind, I went back towards Big Sandy, Texas, where I met up with my friend Kyle. And then we rode down together to see the Orr family again back in Hillsboro and Burleson area. That evening we went out back to their farm and collected the trail cameras. A lot of what we were seeing initially while playing them back was me and Kevin setting the stage up and deploying the cameras and baiting them with some leftover chili, and breaking some branches so that we could rediscover the trail cameras later. But we didn't get too much on the cameras. However, we did have a little bit of luck. We did notice something out of the corner in one of the shots. We were trying to figure out what it was, and after looking at some inconclusive still images, we played back some of the video, and we were shocked to see some feral hogs walk right up to the camera and look around. Now, the Orr family knew that there was a big population of hogs here. They actually have a stand where they occasionally hunt them from. But it was kind of cool to know that we at least caught something on the camera. The other camera got some still images as well, but they're not as clear as the others. I would spend a few more days with the Orr family and my buddy Kyle and his family, and we'd get to hang out and just enjoy company of one another, reminiscing on our other adventures from the past experiences along the AT, and also planning and looking forward to the adventures that we might have in the near future. It was really great getting to hang out with these wonderful families in Texas. But it was time to bring my investigation full circle and return to Fouke and the outlying areas of Mercer Bayou and Sulphur River. So when you see the next entry in this series, that will be what that will be all about. So enjoy the entry into the swamp, because that's what's coming.